Yeah, what's happening? We about to bring that action. Gotta hold it down for my Seattle Kraken. Ay, we going beneath the waves. We going beneath the waves. Get it hype, step onto the ice. Ready for some action. Release the Kraken. Ay, we going beneath the waves. Going beneath the waves.
What is up, everyone? Welcome into the Beneath the Waves podcast, your weekly source of all things Seattle Kraken and beyond. My name is Matt.
And I'm Heather.
And I'm Derek.
And I'm Alex.
And this is episode 10. Holy moly, we have made it to double digits on the pod. We want to welcome in anyone who's new, anyone who's been here since day one. We appreciate each and every one of you who have come through, and especially a big thank you to those who have dropped us a follow and left us a review on your podcast app of choice. As always, we have a very loaded show today. When we kick off with some Kraken news, we have a couple game recaps. We check in with Coachella Valley, and then we end with our weekly discussion around the sound table. Now, Heather, it has been a very busy news week in the Kraken world. What do you have to tell us about?
Yes, I do have a very lengthy news segment today, so bear with me, but all very important things to talk about. And I'm going to start with probably the saddest of all the news updates today is that David Bonderman passed away last Wednesday. He is the founding owner of the Kraken, and the team had patches on their jerseys and helmets that said Bondo and had the red eye. That was part of the logo that Bonderman came up with. And I also saw the Firebirds had Bondo on their patches too, which is great. It just trickles down the whole organization. But he had basically looked at the S logo and said something was missing. And he was like, what if there was like a red dot there, like an eye? And the rest is history. I know I couldn't imagine the logo without that. So it's just so vital, and it plays such a big part in arena as well. Aside from that, he was just a really big Seattle and like Washington State guy. He was a UW grad, and he was a big supporter of UW over the years as well. So he's a huge reason, if not the reason, that Key Arena went through the huge overhaul to bring us Climate Pledge Arena. He was also extremely passionate about bringing the NBA back to Seattle. So I'm really hoping that that can continue through his daughter and the rest of the organization moving forward. So just a big loss, not just for the Kraken community, but for Seattle and the entire state of Washington. So I wanted to just take a moment and highlight that big news story there. Next up in news, Yanni Gourde is injured again, or maybe continuing. I'm still not sure because an undisclosed injury could be anything, but he did play one shift early in the third period against Carolina, and then he left with a lower body injury. There was nothing super obvious that would point to exactly what happened, but in that game, there was also a slash on Yanni that really should have been called and wasn't, and it didn't look like that injured him, but right after that, he kind of lost his balance, and his skate dug into the ice, and I think it kind of, it could have been something around that point, but I think that's more likely what did it than the slash, but I don't think we'll ever know for sure. I'm hoping it's not a continuation of that undisclosed injury or like further agitation of it, and I hope that he'll be back soon, which we found out today, which is Monday the 16th, that he was on ice for practice. Coach Bylsma said he's still day to day, but was hopeful that Yanni would be in for the Ottawa game on Tuesday. So that's really positive. I'm really hopeful for that. In the meantime, Ryan Winterton is back up and Daniel Sprong gets some playing time as well. So let some of the others play, but we do want Yanni back. He's very missed with his pepper potness. Huge congrats to Brandon Montour and Josh Mahura, who received their Stanley Cup rings when Florida came to town last week. The video is pretty cute, them opening up their boxes and getting the rings. You go through playoffs and winning a Stanley Cup with these teammates. It probably was so great to just see each other and have that experience, that shared experience too. So love that they got them. And, they have this really nice little picture at the end where they're just smiling, real big smiles. So just a total feel good video there. Edward Chalet and Jakub Vibiger were named to Team Czechia camp roster for the 2025 World Juniors. I love this for them, but I'm especially just so happy for Edward Chalet in particular because he really did struggle last season. So to see him at Coachella just really thriving and growing and improving is not only fun for us to watch, but obviously it's being noticed outside of that as well. So huge congrats to both of them. And under the same kind of topic, Berkeley Catton and Carson Rakoff and Caden Price all made the final roster for Team Canada for World Juniors as well. So got a lot of little baby squids that are going to be playing, and I love that for us. Lastly, in a news promise, this is the last one. Former Kraken defenseman Justin Schultz announced his retirement from the NHL last Friday. The 34-year-old had been playing in Switzerland after he became a free agent with us. So he said it was a personal choice and that he and his family had discussed him retiring and it was time for him to move home to Canada. He played 143 games with the Kraken and had 60 points during that time. Over the course of his entire career, he played 745 games with 324 points. That was 71 goals and 253 assists. So we, of course, wish him well moving forward with whatever he chooses to do next.
Awesome. Well, we don't often have big news dumps like that, so it is exciting to have some things actually happening in the Kraken world. And we definitely had quite a bit on the game front happening last week as well. We had 3 games on the schedule, one of which we streamed. Before we get into those actual game breakdowns, what's our vibe check clocking in at this week?
You know what? I'm feeling pretty confident, feeling pretty good. Tis the season to be jolly, happy, relatively positive. In the Kraken world, it's mediocre at best. So, but I'm not too worried about that. My mind has really shifted to alternate things. Like I'm looking at the World Juniors. That's some exciting times to look at. You look at those Team Canada boys. Berkeley Catton, Carson Rakoff, and Caden Price, 3 absolute beauties that are going to be playing with that maple leaf on their chest. It's going to be fabulous to witness. One guy that I'm really actually excited to see that is going to be playing for Team Czechia is Jakub Fibiger. Not just because I like saying his name, but he actually is a quite talented defenseman, and he's been playing quite well this season with the Steelheads in the OHL. So that's a real good player to kind of keep your eye on, especially in these World Juniors. And this is a great place to witness these young talent, especially in the Kraken pool. And then when it comes to the Kraken, we're kind of in that weird ballpark of hoping to God something happens because we're kind of playing that 50-50 kind of way of playing. So definitely not smooth sailings from here on out. It's kind of just hoping for a miracle, seeing what happens, and our playoffs even in the discussion. I don't know because at this rate, I don't know if the Kraken know if the playoffs are in the discussion right now. So we will figure things out. New year, new Kraken, or it could just be new year, same Kraken. So I guess we'll figure out soon enough.
Yeah, I feel generally dismayed with the Kraken. Yeah, pretty midweek, so 1-1-1, not like super bad or anything. But if I had to use an analogy, I would say that I feel like I'm on a bus trip that's like 1,000 miles, and we're like 150 miles in, and I can just feel all the wheels like starting to shake, like they're about to fall off. You could say like, oh, we might make it the 1,000 miles, but it's like, no, I don't really think there's a shot here. Money puck, 13.1% chance of making the playoffs, 0.2% chance of winning the Stanley Cup.
So
99.8% chance of us not winning the Stanley Cup. I would bungee jump with those odds.
we have
That's
a
pretty
chance.
that's pretty much guaranteed. So not looking good on the Kraken front at all. If you're a Kraken fan, not good. Yeah, decent 3 games though, for sure. It's just that we kind of made our bed with everything before that. And so at this point we pretty much have to be perfect the rest of the year. So I mean, low odds, but it's technically possible. Yeah.
Yeah, my notes literally say we have a big uphill battle. Like when it comes to the postseason, like that's where we are. Like I wish it was different. I wish we put ourselves in a better position, but that's kind of where we are. Like overall, I feel okay with how they've been playing. Like these 3 games weren't bad by any stretch. Maybe the Lightning game, but the other 2 games were actually pretty good. And before that, they were actually playing quite well. I do know that the team has been sick. There's a flu going around, and that's not an excuse, but it's also like really hard to come out and have good energy every night when you're sick and your teammate's sick and you're trying to probably make up for your partner, your defense partner, or your line mates. And I think that's really rough too. So they did score first in all 3 games this past week. I mean, that's a really positive thing. They scored first in the last 6 of 7. That's also really positive. They're 9-3-2 when they score first. So I love all of that. Like that, they can just keep that up. In fact, when they've scored first, it's been super quickly into that first period too. And I love that because that starts the momentum. It tilts the ice a little bit. And when we talk about the Lightning game, that's kind of what happened. The ice was tilted for the first 10 minutes in our favor. And part of it was because of that. So they've been converting on the power play more consistently. It's not perfect, but improvement has to be noted. We saw some good power play at the very start of the season, and then I feel like they lost some momentum in there. And it was hard to tell what they were doing. And now I feel like they've got some of that back. So that's also very positive. 6 of their last 14 power plays have led to goals. So it's improvement. So there's some good things going on. I think, like I said, we've got a big uphill battle, but right now they're playing some decent hockey.
Yeah, I'd say I'm definitely feeling good. I'm gonna say good, not great, not fantastic, not horrible, but good. When I looked at the slate of games last week, I thought it was gonna be a really tough one and it was gonna be pretty grim. But coming out with 3 out of possible 6 points was pretty good wind in the sails to bring us up a little bit. I definitely think that the Lightning game left a little something to be desired, and that was a little rocky. But the power play standing out now is a big thing for me too. We got to think part of that is Vince Dunn being out for that huge chunk in the middle, and now that he's back, I don't like he's not necessarily on for all the power plays, but he definitely contributes to them when he is on the ice for them. So baby steps are still steps, and we're heading in a decent direction. We just got to try not to trip over our own feet and bump that. What do you say, 13.1% or something like that?
Yeah, and honestly, like I just kind of want to say like what you just said about the strength of the opponents. I think I remember after like the first game, I said that we were probably going to lose the rest of them. So I'm definitely like not disappointed with the Kraken's performance against these opponents. It really is just like we need that extra bump to go from like the 19th best team to like the 16th or 15th best team to make the playoffs. And I'm wondering if like having Jordan Eberle back right now could do that, could like push us into a couple more wins or something. That's just another thing I wanted to throw out there because we're really not that far away. Calgary, who's right in front of us, has a 25% chance. They're only projected to have 4 more points than us on the year. Vancouver has a 50% chance. They're the next one up on the list. They're projected to have 8 more points than us. If we could have climbed up that ladder a little bit more during this stretch, then we would be in a better position. Yeah.
Well, you also have to look at the fact that like Jordan Eberle was such a game changer at the start of the year before he got injured. So like you add him to the mix, completely different conversation, in my opinion. Like, maybe we pulled off another win or two, but like overall, I think Jordan Eberle has been such a like losing him, especially for like probably the remainder of the season, is just such a negative effect not only on the team but on like the team's play as a whole. Like you lose that leadership mentality, especially when you lose your brand new captain. Like that just sucks. Also, I'd just like to point out I am not the most negative person on the pod today. Again, like what is going on?
That's you passed your flu to us, I guess. I just like to say as well, the big point for me looking at those odds and stuff is 84.3 points is still more than 76. So as long as we keep on that track,
Again, that's all I'm here for.
that's all I'm here for. That's
Gonna
what
be here
gives
every
us
single
life
week.
every week. All right, going into the games that happened last week, we started off with Game 30 against the Florida Panthers. This was a 2-1 overtime loss, and this was a stream game. We got to say a huge shout out and thanks to all who joined us, whether it was just popping in at the start, hanging out through the whole thing. We had an amazing crew hanging out with us and keeping the vibes going, and most importantly, the BTW point streak remains alive at 9 games streamed and a stream record of 7-0-2. So I'm not saying that we're not the cause for us winning these 9 games, but the numbers don't lie. And so you should definitely mark your calendar for our next stream that we're going to talk to you about later today to come join us for the next one. On stream, one thing we mentioned was that this game felt long. It wasn't necessarily longer than any other games in terms of time. Like we looked at our uptime afterwards, and it was around the same time, but it just felt like it just slogged on and on and on. And not sure really what contributed to that. However, there was not a lot that happened through the first period, where the Panthers were clearly the more offensive team, with Joey making many amazing saves as he tends to do more often than not, and he kept the score even at 0. The scoring opened at 15:39 of the first period when Chandler Stevenson, yes, the same Chandler Stevenson that we defended on the newest podcast released the morning of the game, scored his 3rd goal of the season. So again, I'm not saying it's not us, but you can't say that it's not us. I don't know if my negatives worked out. It's because of us. It's because of us because we hyped up Chandler Stevenson, and he's obviously listens to the show, and he's like, okay, I got to show up for these guys. This was an amazing coast-to-coast play as the puck was moved out of the Kraken zone to Jared McCann at center ice. He then dished the puck to Yanni Gourde on his right wing, who caught a streaking Stevenson moving into the offensive zone. Stevie took full advantage of this breakaway and wristed the puck over Bobrovsky's glove. This play marked Jared McCann's 100th assist as a Seattle Kraken, the second player to reach this milestone, the first one being Vince Dunn. The Kraken then carried this lead into the final minute of the second period when controversy tied up the game. Heather mentioned it before. Yanni Gord on a clear breakaway was bearing down on Bobrovsky, and he had his hand slashed by a Panthers player, which was not called by the referees. This sent CPA into an absolute frenzy, sent our stream into a frenzy, and it capped off with the Panthers taking the puck all the way back and resulting in a goal from Alexander Barkov. The Kraken bench was furious, most notably Dan Bylsma, who we noted on stream that you could actually hear him hollering through the game broadcast. That's how worked up he was. Edzo was super amped up about it, as he tends to get on missed calls, and I think John Forsman probably took a step or two back because he was quite fired up. The third period was very close, with Joey continuing to stand on his head to keep things tied up at the end of regulation, and then it was on to bonus hockey, the thing that we all hate, especially Heather and Derek, who live 30 seconds in the future compared to Alex and I, so we are watching the game through them. And it was very tight with lots of exciting hockey. Oliver Bjorkstrand almost won it in the final seconds, but he just couldn't get the shot off and over the pads, which meant we then had bonus hockey, and we were on to the shootout. Alexander Barkov opened the scoring for the Panthers with a very nice, we got to admit, a very nice between the legs fake to get it past Joey. Eli Tolvanen was the first up for the Kraken, but he failed to score. Sam Reinhart made it 2 goals for the Panthers, and what we hoped would feel like a sure thing with Oliver Bjorkstrand coming in to be the Kraken's second shooter. He just failed to get it over Borowski's pad, so that brought it to an end for the night. It was an excellent performance by Joey overall, allowing only 1 goal on 33 shots for a save percentage of .970. And we want to have a bonus mention as well that it was Indigenous Peoples Night as part of the Seattle Kraken's Common Thread initiative. The team wore orange jerseys with a logo designed by local artist Keith Stevenson. These, along with hats and nameplates, which we were paying very close attention to during the intermissions, playing our favorite What's Going for What at the auction game, and maybe trying to dabble in some auction winnings of our own. Unfortunately, we did not have deep enough wallets to make that happen. They were auctioned off to benefit the Potlatch Fund and the One Roof Foundation. The Potlatch Fund is a native-led nonprofit organization that provides grants and leadership development to tribal nations in Washington, Oregon, Idaho, and Montana.
I just wanted to say, Matt, that after this game, Stevenson got our sole goal in regulation. I think that bumps him up to like 17th best on the team and perhaps like 399th best in the league. So I think we can say he's a top 400 player now. Just wanted to say that really quick. The other thing is that, yeah, Decord and Stevenson in this game were both just unreal. Stevenson, obviously, for cashing in on that breakaway, making it look effortless, just that little at the end.
I have a TikTok for that coming later tomorrow, so you'll see that again.
Yeah, I forgot they can't see me. And then Decord just absolutely having a game, and it's really just so unfortunate. It sucks that 1 goal against in regulation was off of a missed penalty, a clear missed penalty. Like, unless the Panthers stopped trying after they got that goal, which I highly doubt, it's fair to assume that we could have won like 1-0 if they didn't get that. So just very unfortunate. Yeah, that just really, that's the worst part about this game. But I really liked this game. I liked hanging with the Panthers and forcing them to go to a shootout. That's crazy. I think we deserve to win, which is even crazier. And yeah, it just really goes to show like how good the Kraken have been lately. It just really is unfortunate that it hasn't been consistent from the start of the season to now, but looks good right now.
Yeah, I just want to echo exactly what Derek said. Like, we competed with the reigning Stanley Cup champions, the Florida Panthers. And this wasn't like a game that we were being blown out by. Like, we could have easily secured the bag in this and got both points here. So the fact that, as Derek mentioned, the fact that, the only goal the Panthers scored was off of a missed penalty by the referees is kind of frustrating to say the least, because easily could have put this game to bed with a 1-0 victory. Decord was just lights out from the start. Proven has really shown that he is a starting goaltender, and I would even say a top goaltender in the NHL this season. He's really come into his own. Need to also, mention the fact that, Jared McCann hitting 100 assists for the Seattle Kraken, the first to do so with the team, is truly astounding, because if you told me during the inaugural season before a single game was played that Jared McCann would not only be your top goal scorer, but would also have the most assists and secure 100 assists as a Kraken, I'd be telling you you're a little bit far-fetched in believing that, because no offense to McCann at the time, nothing screamed, that type of talent. So the The fact that he's been able to, mark those milestones is pretty astounding and pretty fantastic to say the least. And overall this game, lots of fun to watch, and we are a good luck charm for the Kraken. The fact that we're 7-0-2 on live streams, you need to put into perspective. This team has lost 15 regulation games. We've live streamed 9, and not a single time during our live streams we have stated the Kraken have lost in regulation. So what I'm kind of stating is y'all need to follow us and watch the live streams, because we are not just a good luck charm. We are not just, that lucky horseshoe that Grubauer holds on to when he plays, goalie, or he sits on the bench. We are like a 4-leaf clover. We are every single possible good luck charm the Kraken have. And y'all should watch us while we live stream, because we're 7-0-2. Point every single game. So I rest my case.
I like that there's 4 of us and we're a 4-leaf clover.
Oh, that's cute.
It's like so adorable. So this game for me, it actually really was pretty fun to watch. And I don't know if it's just because we were on stream, but, it wasn't a bad game to watch, even though we did say, like Matt said at one point, we're like, this game is going on forever. But the Panthers definitely outshot us. So the fact that we, held them to those 2 goals, like I'm not super mad about this game, really. Like we've been talking about, hanging with the reigning Stanley Cup champs is amazing. The defense actually was really great in this game. They were able to hold the Panthers to the perimeter, which is usually what teams do to us. So I really liked the tables being turned there, because that's usually what we see and usually what frustrates the heck out of me watching. So I was like, how does it feel, Panthers, to have a little frustration, courtesy of the Kraken, turned around on you? Obviously, Joey was fantastic, stopping 32 shots on goals, just continuing to be impressed by him forever. And he was coming off of a stomach bug too. So just great that he was 100% dialed in from start to finish. Still bothered by the missed call, but I do feel like karmically NHL just, it works itself out. So at some point there'll be one that won't be called on us, and it'll be fine. In fact, the Tampa Bay game, there was 1/ not called on us, 1/ not called on them, and I was like, okay, I guess we've evened it out. So I do think that happens in hockey. Same with puck luck, it just kind of happens. So overall, not upset about this one, and love that we could continue our streak. Next game was game 31 against the Boston Bruins, and this was a 5-1 win. Holy moly, I'm still wrapping my brain around that. But Yanni Gourde was out with injury, which I mentioned at the top of the pod. Daniel Sprong actually slotted in. Ryan Winterton and Josh Mahura were healthy scratches, which I actually assumed as much because I'd been at optional morning skate that day, and they were the last 2 on the ice. Hard workers, but last 2 on the ice, usually a good sign they're not playing. Kraken got to go on the power play super early in the game, 16 seconds in, actually. David Pastrnak high-sticked Jamie Oleksiak and drew blood, a lot of blood. So double minor for them. So the Kraken had 4 minutes of power play time, and they wasted no time taking advantage of that, actually. Chandler Stevenson won a faceoff to get the puck to Matty Beniers, and Matty got the puck to Oliver Bjorkstrand, who tipped it to the back of the net, and that was just 24 seconds into the first period. So loved that. It was also Bjorkstrand's 50th goal as a Kraken. So all of our Kraken are starting to rack up these milestones, which is really neat too. It was also the 4th fastest Seattle Kraken goal to start a game in franchise history. So just continuing to add to our legacy, and I love it. 5 minutes later, the Kraken were in the closing seconds of another power play. And just as the power play expired, Shane Wright found Jaden Schwartz behind the Boston net and got an incredible pass to him. First of all, his pass was incredible, but what happened next? I'm still boggled by it, because Schwartz backhanded the puck into the far corner of the net, but he was basically behind the goal line, and I still have no idea how he did this. It is an incredible effort, both starting with Shane with his backhanded pass to him, but then that Schwartz goal, I cannot get over it. I cannot. I've watched it so many times, and it's still blowing my mind. Also to note, this was Schwartzy's 50th goal as a Kraken, so got 2 big milestones in this game, but I don't know, if you've not watched that goal, just of any goal of the season, that's one you have to go back and watch. It is so wild. 9:32 into the second period, there was a really kind of interesting situation. There was a shot by John Beecher. It slipped underneath Grubauer, and Brandon Montour dove into the blue paint to stop the puck. And then after review, they looked at it, and it hadn't completely crossed the goal line. But unfortunately for Montour, he's penalized, obviously, for covering the puck in the crease. So Boston was awarded a penalty shot, and Brad Marchand scored the first and only goal of the night for the Bruins by sticking the puck between Gru's legs. So I did see Marchand is now tied for the most penalty shot goals in NHL history with 7. So just another little milestone. I mean, not for us, but kind of cool anyway. Early in the third, Dunn batted a McCann shot into the net, and it was very, very close to being a high stick. But another automatic review here and showed that he batted below the crossbar. So good goal, and that means the Kraken were up 3-1. And at 9:16, Wright set up Bjorkstrand, who got his 11th goal of the season and second of the night to put the Kraken up 4-1. It was just a snipe off the post, and this time it went in. So happy to hear the ding and then see it go into the back of the net. Side note, can we please get Bjorkstrand a hat trick this season? Because I don't know how many games it is now that he's had 2 goals, but I just really want that for him. At 18:06, Canner, after getting a pass from Tanev and then being basically dragged down, heading through the neutral zone, somehow got back up in time to get the puck into the empty net to make the final score 5-1. Another really amazing shot, and another one I'm still like, my mind's blown a little bit how he was able to get back up and do that. So fantastic game by Grew, who ended up being first star of the night. He had 33 saves, had a .971 save percentage. I'm so happy for him and the fact that he got goal support there. I hope it continues to build his confidence as we go forward. Also of note, Shane Wright's 2 assists on the night. That means in Shane's last 11 games, he's had 11 points, and his confidence is so high right now. And I love that for him. But overall, such a fun game to watch because we love anytime the Kraken can score big goals like that.
One thing I want to echo is if we have goaltending like this, like from both Grubauer and Decord, lights out for the Kraken. Like that's one of the things that like you cannot complain at all about. If you can get goaltending like that from both of the tendies. This game, I love the fact whenever the Kraken play the Bruins, because for some reason we have their number. It doesn't make sense because, you know, you look at the Bruins as the big bad Boston Bruins. They're scary. They're a pain in the ass. But for some reason, the Kraken can either, you know, show up in Boston or show up in Seattle and just turn them into like this little cute Winnie the Pooh. And it's really sad and cute all at the same time. So I don't know what happens with that, but it happens. Shout out to Oliver Bjorkstrand. Comes in, you know, we get him in a trade from Columbus, kind of an absolute highway robbery to say the least. 51 goals with the Kraken. Like that is just like, you can't, you know, he's been so incredible with the team and you absolutely love it. Just a side note, I made a mistake in the last time talking about McCann getting, you know, being the first Kraken to score over 100 assists. That's wrong. That's Vince Dunn. So I'm just going to say that. But bringing it back, Canner continues to shine. You know, he finally broke that slump because I think he was on like a 10-game slump. So being able to score even in the last couple of minutes where goals don't really matter, but the points count. So we'll take that when we can. It is what it is. But I love the fact that we can beat the Bruins. You know, as a former Leafs fan, the Bruins are one of those teams that pisses me off. So, you know, being able to cheer for a team that can actually beat them is so nice. So yeah, hats off to the Kraken on this one. It was a team effort and we just really just dismantled the Bruins that game.
I have one question and 2 points. My question is in my super green learning hockey journey here with penalty shots. In that penalty shot instance, can the not the penalized team, the team that was okay, I'm gonna reform my brain that's absolute just garbage right now. Can the team taking the penalty shot just open choose who they want to take it in that instance because there was no one person like infringed on, or how does that work? Because if you're going in and you're dragged down, you take the penalty shot, right? But since that was Monty diving on a neutral puck that really didn't get in anyone, does Boston just get to choose who takes it?
I have no idea, but I would guess that it has to be someone from the ice, similar to like a when someone serves like a penalty, like a bench minor or whatever. It usually has to be like someone from the ice. So that's just my guess, completely out of the arse.
I'll take it as fact and pure gold then. My first.
I got it.
Okay,
by the way.
Okay.
The coach captain of the non-offending team may designate any eligible player other than the goaltender to take the penalty shot.
Oh, you can't send the goalie? That's garbage.
It's rule 4.11. So apparently that's the rule in the rule book. So unfortunately, Joey Decord cannot take the penalty shot, but any other player can. Normally, it's the player that's on the ice. That's from what I can remember. But it doesn't state it technically in the rules. So you can technically throw like if Jared McCann's on the bench, throw Jared McCann on, or like Matty Beniers, or Jordan Eberle, even with his broken pelvis. But unfortunately, Joey Decord cannot be the one that takes the shot.
Which was my first thought. Like,
Yeah,
get Joey in there.
absolute trash. You'll do anything to get that Joey goal, though, however you can
Um,
manifest it.
yes.
So I think that rule is garbage that Joey can't go out and score. But you know what isn't garbage? Chandler Stevenson, because in that game, a stat that they showed on the broadcast is he is tied for fifth in most points through the Kraken's through their first 30 games playing with the Kraken. So ahead of him is Andrei Burakovsky with 28 points. What happened to that guy? Where did he go? Matty Beniers, who hot out the gate, we remember that. Jared McCann, Mr. Consistency, Jordan Eberle, and then he is tied with Ellie Tolvanen at 21 points through 30 games. So not washed and a waste of space and a total bust as has been thrown our way. But I just want a chance to pump up the tires of one of my Saskatchewan boys, as I'm going to do with the other Saskatchewan boy hailing from Melfort, Saskatchewan, Jaden Schwartz. What witchcraft did he concoct in the locker room before that goal? Because I'm just going to throw it out there now. Unless something absolutely more bonkers happens, that is my pick for the Squiddy of goal of the year.
Yeah, I haven't even been thinking about the squiddies yet. That's a really good point. Good heads up there, Matt. I think I'm going to steal this one from you though, and I'm also going to put it there. Just kidding. Yeah, so I have a couple things I want to highlight really quick. First of all, Philip Grubauer, Philly Grewsteak, 3.27 expected goals against, one goal allowed, and it was on a penalty shot. So this guy is an NHL goalie. Okay, let's stop with the narrative that I was omitting, or no, not omitting, that I was professing to everybody from a couple weeks ago. I was wrong. Okay, that's me talking to past me. Not it, dude. Not it. Because Philly Grewsteak doesn't need conditioning. He's him. He's still him. Grubauer is dope. Other things I wanted to highlight. Apparently, this guy named Matty Beniers is on our team, and he had a really nasty assist to Oliver Bjorkstrand. So that guy seems kind of cool. He might be good, maybe. But yeah, that was really nasty. Bjorkstrand got that, and then yeah, the Schwartz goal was the last thing I wanted to highlight about this game, which just absolutely unreal, scoring from the goal line like that. And that brings us to game 32, which was against the Lightning. This game, going off of a 5-1 win, was lost to Tampa Bay 5-1. And the first goal came from the Kraken, and there was really, really good puck movement between Shane Wright, Andrei Burakovsky, Ellie Tolvanen, and Brandon Montour for the first goal, which was from Montour. He shot it from the point. Really nasty goal. And then we were up 1-0 and on top of the world. As Heather mentioned earlier, getting the first goal in the game, everything's going to be going good. No. In the first period, 2 goals against. Very ugly goals. The first goal came from an unchecked Hagel that came in and tipped a shot from an unchecked defenseman. And here's the part that is going to sting, Heather. This one, 2 of your guys are involved in, Shane Wright and Ryan Winterton. And one of the 2 is at fault here. I'm going to leave it up to you to determine who, because these are your guys. This is your expertise. But if you want to look at Exhibit A, I have some pictures here for our podcasters to look at.
Yeah, I've seen it. I was there. I saw it in person.
You were right next to them.
Thank you very much. I was right there.
So you have Alexiak, Winterton, and Wright all in the corner. And you have Hagel literally standing there in the slot, wide open. That's the guy who scored right there, standing 10 feet out in front of Philly Grewsteak, about to tip it in. That's what's about to happen. Alexiak mishandles the puck behind the net, and it's like, okay, yeah, that's what Alexiak's going to do, but our forwards need to be set up better. I'm going to say Winterton because he's the winger on this line, right? I think he should be the one that's checking the defenseman. That's usually how things work. You're floating in between. The center, which is Shane Wright, should be more of like the third defenseman helping Alexiak because Alexiak can't handle the puck. So that should be Wright's job. Winterton should be up on the point. That's just my opinion. So first goal that Tampa Bay scored there, we were 1-1. Oh my goodness. The second goal against that guy that I mentioned earlier, the Matty Beniers guy. Oh my goodness. He can help with goals, but man, apparently he's bad at defense, because if you guys want to look at Exhibit B, I have 2 different angles loaded up here. The puck is right in front of Philly Grewsteak. There are 4 Kraken players, including the closest player to the puck, which is Matty Beniers. it looks from these stills like Beniers has a mile of an advantage on everybody else. The first person to touch the puck there is number 21 Point. That's the first person to touch the puck. He bats it in. How how are how is Beniers letting that guy who's like 3 feet behind him get to a puck that's right in front of him when it's right in front of your goalie, bro? Dive on it or something. Just whack it, clear it. Just get out, get rid of it. Send it to the boards. That's what you should do. Send it to the boards. Unreal goal against. Pretty much sealed the deal in terms of the game because the Kraken didn't get more than one goal. I'm not saying that's on Beniers, but that's where everything started trending downhill. The game stayed 2-1 until the third period when Jake Gensel, newly acquired onto the Lightning, bat down a puck that was like shot and deflected off of I think Vince Dunn or something, and he batted it in literally just like Vince Dunn did the game before. So hockey's just turning into baseball, which is awesome. Because let's just get some chaos baseball hockey at this point in the year. After that, the only remarkable thing were some key saves by Philly Grustake. Like this one that I wanted to highlight where I forgot who the player is. It's a 71. He's wide the frick open in the back door. And from this still, it looks like he has like so much space to bang it in. And Gru just gets his toe there, like barely gets his toe there. It was so beautiful. It's nice to see Gru making highlight level saves. That's going to be really good for us the rest of the year. And really, so far, he's bounced back since that horrible game against the Sharks. He really has. Like something about Philip Grubauer, he can just eat it. Like he could just take it. He has a horrible game and nothing. He's just on to the next. He's seen it all. He's had like the worst season comprehensible. So he's seen it all. I also wanted to highlight something really quick. A lot of people were upset with Dan Bylsma because this happened with Hacksaw too, where the goalie or not the goalies, the coach pulls the goalie when you're down like 3-1 or whatever, a little bit early. So I think we pulled Gru with like 4 or 5 minutes left in this game. To anyone that's upset about that, I'm sorry, but like, what do you want us to do? Just like not try to win? When it's 3-1 and there's 4 minutes left, your odds of winning are like 1% or less. So you get that extra attacker to make it 3-2. Now at 3-2, maybe you leave your goalie in. Say there's 3.5 minutes left and it's 3-2. Maybe you leave your goalie in for that. But when it's 3-1, 100% you're taking the goalie out with 4 or 5 minutes left. That's an amazing decision. And who cares if it's 10-1 or if it's 3-1 if you're gonna lose? I don't care. Keep pulling the goalie, make it 10-1. It's not a big deal. They're empty net goals. It's not a big deal. And that's all I had to say about this one.
Yeah, so I actually was at this game. Personally, super fun. All games are fun to go to, but watching it was painful. I will say though, like the first like 10 minutes, we really were like buzzing. It was really great, but then Tampa Bay just like I don't know, woke up. They were different after those first 10 minutes. So unfortunately, we just could never recover from that. But I will say like myself and like CPA really felt like we were still in it until that third goal that they scored. Like when it was still 2-1, everyone's like, okay, we're still in this thing, but 3-1 just took the wind out of our sails as fans, but also the team too. Like I just don't think they ever really came back and fought after that, to be quite honest. A little bit, but not enough. And I actually was really happy to see the goaltender pulled so early. Like I was like, this is great. And the criticism I used to have with Hack was that he didn't do it soon enough. So I'm actually thrilled that Coach Dan will pull the goalie with those 4 minutes left. Like I thought that was a great move. So it didn't work for us, but you have to try it. There's no other option there. So I'm totally fine with that. But not the best game to attend if you want to see a win or a lot of Kraken goals, but still fun to be there. I don't know. Maybe I'm bad luck because they have not won a single game I've been in attendance at this season yet. So
My takeaway from that game is just Brendan Montour. We always love when Monty Mania runs wild, and I feel it's been a little quiet from him recently. So seeing him get back on the score sheet was always good. And this game just is a little bitter for me because I lost a Tim Hortons coffee donut wager with a coworker at school who is a Lightning fan. So big $3.50 sting right there.
Just gonna echo what Matt said. Mainly talking about Brandon Montour. Is he the UFA, signing of the offseason? Because like I was honestly wondering, I was looking at all the players available. Has any other player that was a free agent this summer had the same or a better impact than Brandon Montour, because he is defensively sound and he is just explosive offensively. And he brings that leadership even in the room. He is an incredible DJ from what we've heard. Like realistically, when you think about it, like when I look at Brandon Montour, I look at him as being like, yeah, he's the signing of the offseason. The Kraken got the best player available, and he's replicated that on the ice. I don't know if I'm the only one that thinks that, but when I watched this game, like I didn't watch much. I was sick, so I like watched the first period and a half, and then I woke up and saw that we got absolutely spanked. Apparently, lightning strikes more than once in the same spot. But what I kind of came out of this game was Brandon Montour is Brandon Montour, and I'm very happy that he's a Kraken player. Am I the only one that thinks that? What do you guys think about that?
No, I mean, I think you're onto something. I'd have to look at other free agency signings around like the league, but I think, I mean, certainly for us, of course, but yeah, I mean, you can't deny his impact that he's had. It's super impressive.
Yeah, I remember when we did our free agency follow-up video long ago, and I was hyped on Brandon Montour, and a few hours out from that, just saying we're going to be a Monty guy, but he lived up to that super early hype, so I'm excited to have gotten behind a guy like him.
I mean, I would like for in terms of Montour and where he ranks against other free agent signings, like I for sure not Stevenson because that guy's like bottom 100 players in the league, but I would say that it's close with Daniel Sprong. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, Montour is definitely one of the best in the entire league that got signed. I was thinking of like Nashville and just all of those highlight players that they signed, but really all of them have kind of turned out to not be very good at the age of 37 or however old all of those players are. So
Yeah, that was the big one that I was thinking of was if any of those Nashville players had really like outshined him, and it really hasn't been that. And I feel like Monty has been the prime discussion point, especially around the league when it comes to, you know, highlight reels. Like
yeah,
he's been someone.
he's having like an absolute
Oh
career
yeah,
year compared
and,
to his whole career. Like his career is honestly not that long so far. It's like I
no,
think it's like 6 years so far. He's been like really active in the NHL.
yeah, and he's been dynamite this year. Like extremely positive net front, and like I said, both offensive and defensively sound. So, yeah, that was just the one piece I wanted to really bring up with this game. Wasn't much to talk about, but I feel like Monty deserves that praise because let's be serious, that clap bomb from the point for Monty in the first period was diabolical to say the least. Moving forward, we are going a little bit south, and we're going to talk about our desert dialogues. So the first game we're going to talk about occurred on Thursday, December 12th against the San Jose Barracuda. Unfortunately, it was a 4-3 loss. Now, the Barracuda took an early 2-goal lead in the first with 2 PP goals in the first 3 minutes of the game. Yanni Neiman, his 6th goal of the season, scored on the power play, brought the Firebirds back within 1. The assists were from both Brandon Biro and Max Lajoie. Then the Furcus Circus, his 6th goal of the season, tied the game with assists from yet again Brandon Biro and the bodyguard John Hayden. Moving forward, the Firebirds actually took an early lead in the third with a Brandon Biro goal, his first of the season, assisted by the one, the only Logan Morrison. Former Firebird Andrew Polorowski tied the game in the final minutes of the third period, forcing this game to overtime, and then forced this game extra to a shootout where we unfortunately lost. However, let's just bring up some positives of this game. Brandon Biro, 1 goal, 2 assists, fantastic game. And secondly, Alisteska made 50 of 53 saves, which is just absolutely mind-blowing.
That's one of the reasons I love the AHL. It's always wild stuff like that happens in the AHL. The next game for the Firebirds was on Saturday, December 14th, and it was against the Calgary Wranglers, who are number 1 in the division, and it was a 3-1 win. So really great way to build up some points here for the Firebirds. They got on the scoreboard early in this one. 31 seconds into the game, Gustav Olofsson hammered a shot towards the net, and Ben Myers was able to redirect it from his net front position to give the Firebirds an early 1-0 lead. About halfway through the first, the Wranglers were able to tie it up after cleaning up a rebound shot and sneaking it past Alex Steska. The Firebirds went into intermission all tied up 1-1, but early in the second, Olofsson went to the penalty box for slashing. The Firebirds actually got the puck out of their own zone, passed it beautifully through the neutral zone. It really is a thing of beauty, this whole play. Myers got the puck to John Hayden, who got a shorthanded goal and put the Firebirds up 2-1. We love a good shorty. Fantastic. At 13:30 in the second, Yanni Neiman went forehand backhand off a pass from Ty Nelson and beat the Calgary goalie to make the score 3-1. There were no goals in the third, so that last goal just secured the win. This stopped Coachella's 3-game losing streak, and the Firebirds were perfect on the PK, so really showing some skills on the special teams there. Stezka saved 33 of 34 shots, so all around, just a really good, complete game from the Firebirds, and especially against that number one team in the Pacific Division.
And they played the second half of the back-to-back on Sunday, December 15th, against the Calgary Wranglers. It was a 4-2 Firebirds win. Ben Myers got his 9th goal of the season, assisted by both Ottavainen and the bodyguard, yet again, John Hayden. Wranglers unfortunately tied it up early in the second. However, the Firebirds soon captured the lead, scoring 58 seconds later. Tugger Robertson scored his 2nd goal of the season, assist by Brouillard and Jones, who actually is a Mavericks call-up, had to make an emergency call-up from the ECHL. And midway through the second, the Wranglers tied it up again. But with less than 3 minutes left in the second period, Yanni Neiman scored his 8th goal of the season, which is his 3rd game in a row with a goal. Gave the Firebirds the lead, assisted by Max Lajoie again, and the one and only Edward Chalet. John Hayden finished it off with an empty netter. That was his 5th goal of the season, securing the victory. Nicholas Coco made 31 of 33 shots and was awarded the first star of the game. Something to highlight, especially over the games this week, was that goaltending was exceptional. That's one thing that you can't really blame. Even the loss to the Barracuda in the first game of the week, couldn't really blame it even on goal scoring. It was just like they ran into hot goaltending. The Barracuda are ahead of them in the conference picture and the division. So realistically, Firebirds are playing great hockey. They're just facing good opponents of late.
And for Stezka to make 50 of 53 saves is still, I mean, how can you ask for anything more really from your goalies? Like, it's insane. If you want to watch the Firebirds this week, they play on Wednesday, December 18th against the San Jose Barracuda. They play Friday, December 20th against the Ontario Reign. And then on Saturday, December 21st against the Ontario Reign again. So one of those back-to-backs. Our top Firebirds this week. So someone finally overtook my Ryan Winterton because he's been up playing with the Kraken. But Ben Myers has 17 points in 20 games. John Hayden has 15 points in 21 games. And I think he made a good chunk of those this week. Ryan Winterton still sitting in the leaderboard, though, with 15 points in 16 games. He'll eventually be back, so I'm going to keep putting him in there. And then we have several Firebirds at 14 points. Cale Fleury in 18 games, Yager Furcus in 23 games, Yanni Neiman in 23 games, and Max Lajoie in 24 games.
And when it comes to the AHL standings, the Firebirds currently sit 3rd in the Pacific Division with 30 points behind the Wranglers, who have 39 points, and the Barracuda, who have 32 points. So could easily jump the Barracuda. The Wranglers are on an absolute tear this year. It's, I don't know, something in the water in Calgary. I don't know. But, plenty of hockey to still be played this year. But in the Western Conference, the Firebirds sit 4th, and in the entirety of the AHL standings, they sit 9th. Like I said, plenty of hockey to be played. They are figuring it out. New coach, a lot of young players this season, but they're really starting to figure out their game, and it's really starting to show.
All right, and that will take us to the sound table. Our weekly recap of all things outside of the Seattle Kraken organization in the hockey world. Starting off with sound table topic number 1. Moments after we recorded last week's show, there was a major trade announced between the Colorado Avalanche and the San Jose Sharks. Colorado sent goaltender Alexander Georgiev, forward Nikolai Kovalenko, and a conditional 2025 fifth-round pick to San Jose in exchange for goaltender Mackenzie Blackwood, forward Giovanni Smith, and a fifth-round pick in the 2027 draft. This completes a complete changeover in the Avalanche's goaltending following their trade of Justus Annunen to Nashville on November 30th for Scott Wedgwood.
That's a hockey trade. Honestly, the last thing I would ever expect would be Mackenzie Blackwood be going to the Avalanche to be their number 1, basically. Because I remember when Alexander Georgiev signed with the Avalanche, and everyone was like, "Oh, he's going to be their goaltender of the future," which just highlights again that goaltending is straight up voodoo. Like it's straight up voodoo.
Yeah, I was gonna say something kind of magical about these goaltenders involved in these trades is Annunen and Wedgwood. They were both pretty bad on the teams that they got traded from, but now they've actually been on tears after they got traded with the new teams that they were with. So now Wedgwood's going off for Colorado and Annunen's going off for Nashville. It's just kind of weird.
Yeah, Wedgwood has just been playing lights out, and he was sort of on the upswing. I think that's why they wanted him. But like the way he's turned it on, like has been really wild to see. So crazy trade.
To sound table topic number 2. Speaking of goaltenders, we had another e-bug moment last week. During warm-ups on Saturday night, Ottawa goalie Anton Forsberg was hurt, and e-bug Zach Dietz was informed that he needed to make it to the rink. Dietz, who is the goaltender for the University of Ottawa, got the call at 5:50 p.m., just over an hour before puck drop. He and his girlfriend loaded up his gear into their vehicle and started heading to the arena. Because it was so close to game time, traffic was at an absolute standstill, so Dietz decided the best course of action was to put the car in park, jump out, grab his gear from the back, and start going at it on foot, resulting in a video going viral over the weekend of him lumbering past cars towards the Canadian Tire Center. After running uphill and absolutely killing his legs, a couple near the front of the line noticed him, asked what was going on. He explained that he needed to be there for warm-ups, and they just let him jump into their SUV and zipped him to the arena in about 3 minutes. While he didn't get to play in the game, he certainly has a new favorite story to share at all his holiday dinners.
Watching the video is actually really funny because I've been to the Canadian Tire Center, and I can envision the chaos that is the traffic to try to get parking, because it's in the middle of it's kind of in the middle of nowhere of like the industrial area. So like the traffic is a nightmare if you're not there early. So I can just picture him like jogging very lightly, because let's be serious, he's bringing all this hockey gear with him just to try to get down to the arena. So like this is just such a, like, I watched the video a couple times and had a good laugh. Like this is like something that you can totally bring up like years down the line, being like, yeah, that was me. You're wondering what happened. This is my story. So fabulous little story. You got to love these e-bug moments. Like they're so great.
Next up on the sound table, topic number 3. It always has to be nice to have your parents, friends, other family members in the stands for your games. For Teddy Bluger of the Vancouver Canucks, it was especially sweet for his mom. She had come all the way over from Latvia to see her son play and decided to dabble in the game's 50-50 draw, something that she had never done before. At the end of the night, she ended up taking home the cash prize, which was more than $100,000, which is not too bad of a vacation to come see your kid play hockey.
Like the best feel good story though, right? Isn't it? Like coming over from Latvia, playing in the 50-50 raffle, thinking like, I'm just gonna put my number in here and see and take a chance and end up winning. I love that story.
Yeah, not knowing a ton about America, like then like going the roller coaster, winning that money, then realizing the amount of tax that's on winnings like that must have been pretty brutal, because it's like probably about half.
That's why you got to win in Canada, because if you win it in Canada, you just walk out the door with the actual amount that you win. But still, like, could you imagine just walking into the place and be like, I'm going to throw a $5 down, see what happens, and then
Was the
walk
game
out and be
in
like,
Canada?
I don't know, was it?
I think the game was in
Oh,
Canada.
it might have been.
So I think she came to watch him play at home.
Oh,
So even juicier.
Even yeah, that was 100K, 100 Canadian dollars,
they really let you
100,000
take all.
Canadian
That's
dollars.
crazy.
So we're talking like $15 US.
That's a fat stack of Queen Lizzie's that she's taken home in her purse. All right, next up on the sound table, topic number 4. You always got to shoot your shot when you're trying to get yourself an autograph. I always see pictures, videos before games of people up on the glass and they have their signs saying, "Oh, I'll trade you a chocolate bar for a puck," or "I'll do this for a stick." Well, a fan in Philadelphia last week got himself a little souvenir to take home. With just 17 seconds left in Monday's game between the Flyers and the Utah Hockey Club, Philadelphia rookie Matvei Michkov earned himself a game misconduct in an early trip to the showers. On his way down the tunnel, Michkov stopped to autograph a water bottle from a fan that was dangling over the boards. A bad boy on the ice, but a good guy in the heart of the fans. Next up, we have sound table topic number 5. Last week, following a 3-assist game against Montreal, Sidney Crosby passed Gordie Howe on the NHL history list of most assists with one franchise. He recorded his 1,026th assist with the Penguins, and that places him at 5th place overall. Do we have guesses at who's above him? Who are the 4 players above him?
Mario Lemieux.
That's 4.
Gordie Howe.
Gordie Howe.
No, Gordie Howe's below him now.
Oh, but he was.
Wayne Gretzky.
Wayne Gretzky.
Wayne Gretzky's 2.
Jaromir Jagr.
Nope. Steve Yzerman is 3.
Okay.
And Ray Bourque
Okay.
with Boston. And like he just has such a great number at 1,111 assists with that team. So just a little, we always like highlighting some milestones. So that's an exciting one there. And our final sound table topic. Ovi Record Watch is almost back on. The Capitals captain is nearing a return with the lineup and participated in a portion of Saturday's team practice with a no-contact jersey. This is a major step in his rehab since fracturing his leg on November 18th. The original timeline for his recovery was 4 to 6 weeks, putting his projected return between December 19th and January 2nd, so we will see that time frame is coming up if he's going to be an absolute freak of nature and get back on the ice after fracturing his leg.
I say he does it, but also I wish I had the body of an NHL player, breaking your leg and then being like, I'll be back in 4 to 6 weeks. Like that's just that's insanity.
I will say, like, the only reason he's coming back is for the record because the Caps are like the best team in the league right now, so they could really afford to let him just like completely rest up. He's definitely just begging the management, just like, let me back in. I need this record.
100%.
But then you bring in like an Ovechkin who's like hungry to break a record. Like it's going to be insanity.
He's getting a double hat trick that first game back. And that does it for the sound table. Heather, do you want to let the people know what our week ahead looks like?
I would love to. We play Tuesday versus the Ottawa Senators, and we are streaming this one. So definitely come hang out with us. Like we said, we are the 4-leaf clover of luck for the Kraken, so you don't want to miss out. We want to keep our record going. If you are happen to be going to the game, the Kraken Trapper hat is the giveaway. We saw it modeled on Shane Wright after a game previously. So for the first 10,000 fans, you can get a Trapper hat. The Kraken play Thursday at the Chicago Blackhawks, Saturday at the Las Vegas Golden Knights, and Sunday at the Colorado Avalanche. So tough week ahead for our Kraken team.
And thus closes out our milestone recording of episode 10. And Derek, I can only assume you have your best work prepared for such a milestone episode.
Oh, I do, Matt. But one thing I just wanted to bring up, actually 2 things I just wanted to bring up. If you do have an extra Kraken fan or fur trapper hat, please send it to me. I'm begging for those. I'm not going to be able to go to the game, please. And also, if you come and watch us on stream and the game's not very good, there's a good chance that during one of the intermissions, Heather will be rating all of the food in Climate Pledge Arena for you guys. So make sure to tune in. Where you can find us everywhere. Go to the YouTube, go to any podcasting service that you've ever used in your life. Go to Twitter, go to Blue Sky, go to Instagram, go to TikTok. And I've prepared an acronym for this very ceremonious 10th episode. Okay, BTWSEA, 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 BTWSEA. Boy, there's waffles. Sit down and eat them all. BTWSCA.
Why is there a D in there?
There's a D.
Go follow. You don't emphasize the D.
That's not how acronyms
Sit down,
work.
there's
sit down is
waffles.
one word.
Sit
Oh,
down
God.
and eat them all.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you for listening.
We'll work on
I
it.
love you guys. Bye-bye.
Thanks for hanging out, crew.
Happy 10.
We going beneath the waves. Going beneath the waves.